Hello and welcome to my world of crochet. My name is Dina and today I'm here with you for another yarn talk video. And as always, we can't really talk about yarn without me having my faithful mug of tea. And today this tea is a classic Russian Earl Grey. So it's the Lipton Russian Earl Grey, which basically means it is a normal Earl Grey with an extra added flavor of citrus. Quite so ever fresh tasting Earl Grey. I will instantly warn you, I may have a little funky sound today, and if that is the case, it is because I have a tendency of a light cold. Also why I decided let's dress a little bit warmer today. This is my Inlines Alpaca poncho. It is designed by a Danish designer. I do believe it's by Tentator. Free pattern on Hobbii. You can find that pattern on the Hobbii website. Here in the description box down below I linked to this absolutely gorgeous Inlines poncho, which basically is made in this continuously alterating front post, back post, double crochets, which creates this sort of ribbing feature. And of course I do have a cowl on it as well. And that just helps keep my neck warm. As I said, I do have a little bit of tendency for a cold. So therefore it seemed quite logic to dress up a little bit warm today, even though that it's actually for autumn pretty warm at the moment. Bit contrasting last week. What did I do since last time? I finished an object. In fact, I actually finished two objects. I told you that I wanted to use the Narco Bonjour yarn to make the Anemone headband. The Anemone headband is designed by DROPS, so it's definitely not the same yarn as in the design. This is the yarn that I used for the project, the Narco Bonjour. It is a 100-gram ball, so 3.5 ounces to about 110 meters, so maybe 120-ish, maybe a little bit more, 22-ish yards. It is recommending a 6mm crochet hook. Can be washed at 30 degrees, can be ironed at low, lay flat to dry, do not tumble dry, and do not bleach. Actually, I think it even says maybe do not, oh, it can be dry cleaned, sorry, yes. It's made in Turkey by Narco yarns, wonderful yarns. This is ever so nice and soft. I wanted to originally make a hat from it, but decided for the headbands, because actually I found this pattern where I thought this might actually work up. DROPS used their DROPS snow yarn for it, which is 100% wool yarn. But thickness and gauge wise, they're a little bit similar. So I followed that pattern, and instantly after I have made the first row of star stitches, I realized that this headband is gonna be too short for me to fit. I unraveled it and I added a few extra stitches. In fact, I think I added 4 or 5 extra stars or something like that. Wrapped it up like back and forth, back and forth. I used a little bit more than half the skein, very close to just half a skein, using a 9mm crochet hook from Prims as recommended. And I sewed it together, and I have to admit, while the pattern itself I really like and it's really straightforward, I did not find that I closed it up very well. Plus, it feels way bigger, and I realized why afterwards, because of course you do get this for the closing. You can see for point 1, I'm not happy with how I closed up this. It's just not aligned, even though that it should be nicely aligned. Somehow it's just not working out in the right intended manner. But also you do have to actually nicely line it up. That does give you a slightly bit ever so, a few millimeters or so. So I'm not happy with how I lined it up, but I'm very happy with how this looks. Like, the stitch definition is gorgeous. Everything is nice and it feels soft, and you know, I can fit it, even though it might actually be almost slightly ever too big for me. Maybe not. This is actually not too bad, at least if I have something on the bind. So here we are. Ta-ta! Not too bad, I would say. So this is with, there was 27 star stitches around, was how I worked up this one. I'm pretty pleased with how this looks, to be honest. This is not bad. Not bad. Not at all. I just hate that closing on the back, right? This could be so much better. I was like, it has to be a better way to do this. And I'm like, of course. Now you're silly. Work in the round. It must be possible to work the star stitch pattern in the round because it's pretty straightforward, right? So that's what I did. I actually worked out to work the star stitch pattern in the round. I did 2 fewer stars. Here we have the red result. Ta-ta! You can ever so slightly see here where it's a joint, but not as clearly as this one. And if you just like flip it around like this, it's nice and even all the way around. I am enough. This is easy, it's straightforward to do. I can imagine people might actually be interested in this. So yeah, here we are. Basically, I worked it in the round, and it is, for me, the fit is slightly ever too snug because obviously there are 2 fewer stars on it. So for me, it looks like this. 2 fewer stars on it, ears nicely covered. I'm nice and warm, but I do feel this is more like a medium sized where I might need a more large size. If I would need something in between the two, that's possible. This is a 25 stars in the round. So I started with basically 50 stitches all the way around. You do half doubles in between. You do another row, etc. I think it's gorgeous. I really like it. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I really am. Like, it's nice, it's smooth, it's actually what I want. And listen up. I was a little bit land chickening. I hoped that by decreasing the amount of stars and just making it a little bit smaller, that 0.1, it would sit less snug, less loose. I might need in between for myself personally. But I obtained a few things here. I obtained some knowledge. Easy to adapt size, depending on the amount of stars. Easy to work in the round, not difficult at all actually. In fact, quite simple. I can make 2 out of 1 skein because this is the amount of yarn that I had left, my friends. This. Not sure if that would have been enough to make 3 more stars, in the sense of if you add 1 star per row, it's 3 stars, and then it's 6 half double crochets and 2 chains. Not sure I would have had the yarn for that. Maybe. Now I just have the small little extra, and I still have a full skein. I can decide to make a cowl of the skein, but if I do make a cowl, I might need a bit more than the 1, because obviously it needs to be wider and it needs to be larger than this. So that's probably more like 1.5 skein. I'm considering the cowl because you can make the cowl and add to it. I'm also just considering making a few more headbands and see if they might sell or not. When you're watching this video, I will probably be in the city, maybe looking for yarns. I have an appointment and I have plans on passing down some yarn stores while I'm there. And who knows, maybe I can score a few more skeins of these, maybe not. If I can't, it's simple. I'm just going to make 2 more headbands. And if I can, then maybe I will try to make a cowl. maybe. But I'm still really happy with that second result. And it just shows, you know, it was simple and straightforward to do. I'm really pleased. And I think it can work up also nicely in a what, slow variegated yarn or the like. So yeah, I'm actually super happy. So you could say that I finished 2 headbands this week. 2. Let's see what's next. I've been working as well on the Fleur. The Fleur Mosaic blanket by Anke Wintermans. Anke Wintermans is a Dutch designer. You can get her mosaic blanket patterns on Ravelry. I've listed the link to Fleur in the description box down below if you are interested in getting it yourself. There are also stores that sell yarn packs of these. It's made in a Stylecraft Special DK yarn. I have learned by now that it's really useful to cake up the yarns, to cake up those skeins, and then while working with them, to add them to one of these spinning wheels. The cakes sit really nicely on them, and it works off so much easier. I finished 1 more row, so it's not a lot, but I've been busy with quite a few things since last week. Did progress on quite a few things, including the 2 headbands, but so I just made 1 more row. 4mm crochet hook. As I said, I caked them up, and I've added the second cake, the second white. Also working on the red right now. I'm just trying to keep track of them because we are now at round 52 out of 129. 52, my friends. And I'm trying just to keep track of this blanket as is. Here we are. Woohoo! We are showing the full blanket in the full screen. I like it. Progressing ever so slow, ever so nice. No rush. I told you I don't have a rush with this one. I'm definitely not a blanket maker. I don't think I long-term have the patience to just crank out blankets. But making one once in a while is nice. I like that. I don't mind that at all. Backside, you can see that I carry the yarn only in that single corner because that is my start and finishing corner. I have this place which is basically only the last side and a little bit is where I've had the newest cream yarn. And until I finish this row, so to finish the next row of the red claret, I will weave in those ends. And I wait by weaving in ends due to the simple fact that if I do it now, and I'll have to frog it, I will be having a difficult time frogging it because I tend to weave in my ends so very well that they are so dang difficult to get out again. So I just want to make 100% sure I don't need frogging, and when I know that, then I will weave in those ends. Until then, they're just slightly ever so waiting on me. What I do like about carrying up these yarns is that you do have very few ends to weave in. Like, it would have been worse if I had to cut and weave for every end of the round. Plus, seeing how much I had left of the Bordeaux red, I'm not so sure the yarn would have lasted me all the way. But yeah, it is working up super nicely, and the back side, of course, is showing the negative image of the same. Yeah, it's working up nicely. Next round is claret, and round 53. So I am just cranking out the rounds, doing a round whenever I feel like it. Sometimes I just do a half or maybe even 2. It kind of depends on the day. But I'm at 52, and so far it seems like I've been working on it every week the last few weeks, which I'm pretty happy about. Progress is going well. I'm satisfied. Yeah, that's basically what it comes down to. But as I said, this is slowly coming and growing out of the container I have it in. So I slowly have to get a new container for it if I want to continue keeping it like how I am currently. So I'm just putting it down here to easier keep track. Yes. Thoughts of Ireland. I have been working on the Thoughts of Ireland during last week's live, but also during Wednesday morning live. And I counted that I have 10.5 rows to go, I think. 9.5, 10.5. I think it's 10.5. I am not sure if the 10th row is including the current row that I'm working on, or if it's excluding that row. In any case, I have 10 rows left, excluding that round that I'm currently working on. It has been progressing really well, I think. And this, my friends, is what you see. I only keep those stitch markers to keep track of where I need to increase, but I think I might be finished increasing. Well, sort of finished increasing, like intentionally increasing, because there are still a few steps in the pattern where it will increase some. What I am doing right now is that I am working on this row, which is kind of like bubble stitches. They do call them bubble stitches in the pattern. It is in fact, and I work them in each of these. There are these chain gaps of the previous row. There's a chain gap, etc. I work them into these. I'm about 1/3 through, so I probably have like 50 or so to go. They are a double crochet where you don't pull through the last 2 loops. You yarn over twice for the treble crochet, pull through twice, so you have 3 loops on, and you actually do 3 of those treble crochets without yarning over the last, or pulling through the last, so to say, and then you do a double crochet again in the very end, where you pull through all of the loops on the hook, and I do believe you have like 6 loops on the hook when you do that, and that creates these absolutely gorgeous bubbles you see here, one by one. And once that's completely done, we are back to, well, I do believe it's like single crochets and chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, like in those spaces, because as you can see there are spaces between the double bubbles, and that is because I am making these spaces of chain 3 in between each. It's actually working up really nice, I think. I really like this added texture you have here from the front post, back post, front loop, back loops, and the bubbles. What is though, it is not the easiest to work with because it's a thin yarn, and when you do and have to catch the right front loop or back loop in the stitches from the previous round, you really need to pay attention. And then that is just, yeah, a bit fingerlingy to work with. This is the yarn. Gorgeous, gorgeous yarn, 100% alpaca. It is DROPS Alpaca yarn. It is DROPS Alpaca mix. And it's an all-time favorite, they claim. 100% alpaca mix is because it is like heathered look. They also have them 100% solid colors. This heathered look, if we can get it to focus, as you can see, it's green and it has sort of heathered colors in. It is the one they call Alive, the color Alive, 50 grams, so 1.8 ounces to 168 meters. So that's 183 yards. They recommend 3mm hook. I use a 3.25mm hook because I do tend to be a little bit tight crocheter or tight tension. Yeah, it's progressing well. As I said, we have like about 10 rows to go, and then I also need to get and in one side I do have, and I do need to I do need to weave in ends. Nothing new there, but I just want to make sure that I don't need to do so. As explained before, exactly the same reasoning. I need to make sure that I have done the full pattern as how it's supposed to be. But as I said, I'm pretty pleased with the progress. 10 rounds to go. I need wool detergent, and this needs blocking because it does tend to curl up a bit. So blocking is definitely recommended for this particular pattern. Yep. The Ultimate Sacrifice Shawl is the next project in the chronological order that we are talking about these projects. And I am working with the Dahlia Halloween in 100% cotton. It's a colorway 1, and it is a 200 gram cake, so 7 ounces to 800 meters or 874 yards. They recommend a 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook. It can be washed at 30 degrees Celsius, so that's 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Can be dry cleaned, can be ironed at low. Do not tumble dry, do not bleach. Gorgeous yarn. Don't have a lot left actually on this cake, as you can see. We are really getting close towards the end. And I did have time to progress well on this project, because that is the project that I was working on during the event where I had to be present. And if there was nothing for me to do during that event, I could basically sit down and crochet a bit. And that was like every evening last week. And we also I also brought it with me somewhere else and so on. It was a nice, easy on the go project, basically. So the only thing is, I do have the feeling this should be larger by now. And I guess, well, the pattern says, patterns by Lorraine Pugh, and link description box down below. Though right now I do believe it's not being able to be bought via Ravelry, but it's linked to Ravelry. The pattern also lists an 800 meter cake. So it should help, and maybe also because obviously it will grow when I stretch it, in the sense of that I will block it. It will help. But right now I have the feeling it should be bigger, but it's not. Maybe there is more yarn left here than I think. It does have some weight to it, but I have the feeling we're like halfway through the change between pink to darker purple, because right now I have 2 strands of each, and eventually I will go like from purple into black. And well, we will see how far we get. I do have to say, when I just stretch it up like this in front of my camera, you won't be able to see it all. So it does have some size to it. It does definitely have some size to it. But what I want to do is I'm going to just push this chair a little bit back and see if I can get it far enough back for you to see it all. But as said, as you can see, could be bigger. It could be bigger. But it's still size-wise, maybe it will be fine once blocked. I don't know, I had the feeling it would be even bigger. I think it would also work up nicely, like in a twister, or so like Hobbie's twister cakes, or Hobbie's Sultan Deluxe, Sultan cakes for that matter, or even YarnArt's Rose Garden, YarnArt's Flowers, etc. I think they could also work up very nicely for this pattern. Just a little bit bigger, because some of those cakes are having more yardage. But actually, I'm liking these colors. They have a nice vibe over them. I think, and I might end up be motivated enough to do it, I might be done with this next week's yarn talk. It's sort of a semi-goal to finish up this now. I think it's possible, and if it's not happening in the upcoming week's yarn talk video, it will, by almost guarantee, happen by the following. But I think I'll probably have it done next week. Now it's getting so close. And I do have more projects. I have a range of projects I need to block. I have this kind of stacking up. I need to spend the time blocking it, and I need to convince myself, Stina, it's time to block, let's go. Not a big, huge fan of, well, I'm a fan of the result of blocking, but the process is tedious. At least I think so. But yeah, I probably really should look into that next week. I have, as you noticed, gotten a yarn haul from Hobbii earlier this week. Monday, I unboxed a yarn haul from Hobbii containing some of these lovely recycled cotton from, basically, We Recycle Yarn. I guess We Love Yarn. It's the We Love Yarn brand. It's a Turkish brand, so it's made with love in Turkey. It's designed, I assume, but it's indicated it's distributed by Hobbii in Denmark. It's a DK weight yarn, 8 of 8, 8 is what they normally would call it in Denmark, and it is 50 grams or 1.75 ounces to 75 meters or 82 yards. 100% recycled cotton. I love the fact it's recycled cotton. It's the dark red color we have here, which is the colorway 9. I told you last week's Yarn Talk video that I was going to make a new summer shopper bag. Crochet hook wise, they are recommending a 5mm. It's also what works up for the pattern. The only thing is I have the feeling this yarn is slightly thinner than the beige sand colored I used for making the 2 past editions of. And I like them because I think they have potential. And I started working on it, and I added 1 more row of increases on this red version because I have the feeling that the yarn is slightly ever so thinner. Just to make sure I had the right width and so on. I do have another thing I want to test out while I'm at it. So I'm probably gonna add a little bit more height to it as well, like 1 or 2 rows. So the bottom here is done. All half double crochets with their increases, and the first 2 rows of the crossed double crochets. It's not super obvious yet, but you can see a little bit of a back shape coming. This is, I've changed yarn once, so I am now working on my second skein. Not a lot left. It does progress. And in that yarn order from Monday, I had ordered 3 red skeins, which theoretically would be easy peasy plenty, because the plan was that the side walls should be made in the lighter red that I had bought with them. But what happened was the colors did not match what was on the website. Those colors on the website would have been gorgeous for the project, how I had intended it. When I'm having it here, I'm like, nah, it's not gonna happen. Like, really not gonna happen, because this is a red. Like, the one on the website was so much closer color difference wise, and I don't even feel the camera does these yarns justice, because I feel this one is much brighter. Yeah, like if you see them here, if I go up closer, they seem closer to one another. If I go back here, you see they are, it's almost like a neon red, and this is like a dark Bordeaux wine red compared to. I did not feel that would work well together, so what did I do? I went to Hobbii Monday before end of the sale, and I ordered some new yarns. And I should receive that yarn haul today. And therefore, you have a yarn video coming up, new yarn haul coming up on Monday. What I did was I bought a few more for the other projects I have intended, because there was a few other yarns that looked too similar compared to. So here, these 2 are not as close as I had hoped, but then I had 2 other yarns that should have slight more difference. They didn't. And then I was like, okay, that idea is not gonna work out. Now, meanwhile, I have a new idea for that project, but to do that idea, I needed more yarn as well. So I ended up going on the Hobbii website and I ordered some yarn and I have a new yarn haul. It happens. So yeah, that's basically it. And I decided, well, the yarns that I'm not going to be using for the bags, I can probably make some really nice bucket hats from it. Found a decent pattern that I'm going to try to test out and see how those work out. Yeah, 5mm hook for that. So basically I've been pretty busy. If I reach to finish any of my shawls in decent time before next week's yarn talk video, I may start on the, I just had to look on the name, the Aranel Shawl. The Aranel Shawl is designed by K.A.M.E Crochet. She's a Hungarian crochet designer. She designs patterns for, amongst places, Hobbii. This is a Hobbii paid pattern. I do link to it in the description box down below. And I'm going to use the Flowers Alpaca, or Alpaca Flowers, which is a YarnArt yarn. Flowers Alpaca. And this is the cake that I am going to be using. Flowers Alpaca. It's the same yarn this one is made in, by the way. It's 20% alpaca, 80% acrylic, 250 grams, so 8.8 ounces to 940 meters, which is about 1,027 yards. Made in Turkey. They classify it as a 2-weight. I would probably say it's more like a 3-weight. Yes, if you squeeze it thin, it's a 2-weight. If you just work with it nicely, as you would expect to volume of the yarn, it's closer to a 3-weight. You need 2 skeins to make a full sweater. 1 is enough for a shawl. Lay flat to dry, can be ironed at low. Hand wash 86 degrees Fahrenheit, so about 30 degrees Celsius, so like medium warm water. Dry flat, do not bleach, do not tumble dry. But the Aranel Shawl I think will work up really nice in these colors. So I am basically just looking to get started and working on that. But I promised myself I will have to finish either the Ultimate Sacrifice or the Thoughts of Ireland before I can start on the Aranel Shawl. But in the event that I do reach to finish one of these shawls this weekend, or well, whatever, before next week's yarn talk video, then I already prepared you that this, my friends, is turning into a shawl. Looking forward to work with the Flowers Alpaca again. It is a wonderful yarn to work with. So yeah, I think we are pretty much through with it all. Bunch of things coming up. As I said, when you're watching this video, depending on what time of the day, but if you watch it directly at the launch, I will be in the city center doing a few things, of handling a few appointments, and probably putting my nose across some yarns to see what they have, because, well, I can't help it. And if we are lucky, and if the conditions are better than when I was there last time, I will try to make a little recording for you guys. So I'm going to say here on and out, take care and happy crafting until I see you again. And yes, do not forget to check in on Monday when I have a new Hobbii, a yarn haul video to share with you guys. Bye.